See what we're going to be doing this week for an exercise, or at least something similar to it. This is an airplane seating chart. It's got 3 rows of seats. It's got an H1 tag up here at the top. It's got a comment down here. It's not a comment technically. It's got some text down here saying what seat is selected, and I put in some references in case you're interested in some of the side issues and research that you can do on the topics we're covering. As you click on a seat, it highlights and changes color. It also is reflected down here in the text. So as we click on a seat, the background image changes and the seat we picked is updated at the bottom. You can turn these on or off as far as selected or not selected. Fairly rudimentary, but it covers a lot of interesting topics. Let's look at the code. Here we see our HTML. Got our doc type up here of HTML5. Head of the document, we have style sheet, LinkedIn. We have our JavaScript file, LinkedIn. And we have our body tag, which has an H1 and a div to hold all our seat charts. We've got several unordered lists that contain rows of seats. This first one and the last row are just empty. They're kind of to put some space in there, because if we didn't have them, the plane would look less tall. And it was just an aesthetic thing. But we have 3 rows in here that have an ID of A and B and C. There are 5 seats in each row. Each one has a non-breaking space in them to be kind of a placeholder. We're going to put the seat numbers in there. With a loop, we're going to put an event, attach an event to each of these list items so that the background image changes. Let's look at the CSS, because basically this is pretty straightforward stuff. CSS adds some presentation to it. What we've done here is we've reset the values of margin, border, and padding for all our elements there: body, div, H1, H2, and paragraph. We have a body tag with a little bit of margin on it. We have a div tag where we've made sure that's gone. Gave our seating chart, the whole construct, that div, some margin, and this overflow auto functions to take away the float of the list items. Because what's happening is on our rows, our unordered list rows, we've got some aesthetics. There's not a lot going on as far as that goes. Borders left and right, background color, a width. But what's interesting is on these rows of list items, what's happening is we're telling all the list items to display as block, which means they're a block level element. We're floating them left so that they become rows, or visually go left to right on the page. And we are giving them all a width of 30 pixels and a height of 35 pixels so that they contain this background image of a blue seat. We've also defined some classes of red seat and green seat and blue seat and yellow seat down here at the bottom, so we can swap out our classes with JavaScript and basically swap out the background images. Notice that we've just linked them in. The source code is just a bunch of GIFs that are colored. And I've got a last style down there for the references I gave you in case you want to do a little bit of research. So let's get